Good afternoon, Mayor and Councillors. Thank you for being here today, and thank you for allowing delegations and public consultations at this meeting. I am here to address whether or not global interests have a place in Hamilton's 2024 budget. I would also like to address, if anyone here has concerns about misinformation, I encourage you to take notes, and we can address that in the question period afterwards. Thank you. My name is Nikita Mahood, and I am a voting tax-paying resident of Ward 9 in Hamilton. I am speaking to you today to discuss Hamilton's role in the UN Sustainable Development Goals, Agenda 2030, C40 cities, also known as 15-minute cities, strong mayor powers, and how unelected global entities have utilized public-private partnership, or PPP fraud, to shift power away from local governments and funnel local taxpayer funds toward initiatives that have been developed by organizations that have no interest in Hamilton or its residents other than a means to an end to expand their scope of power, which is thinly veiled in bad climate change science. In short, global power grabs by unelected officials that have no place in our Hamilton budget. A PPP, or public-private partnership, is a legal entity that looks like government, but it is not and requires no public consultation or scrutiny. This partnership gives control of all Canadian governments over to the United Nations. Strong mayor powers allow certain mayors to veto the votes of council. They can be used to bulldoze these global initiatives, not only past public consultation, but also council votes. In celebration of this past Canada Day, strong mayor powers were given to Mayor Andrea Horwath. As with these global power grabs, strong mayor powers are a threat to democracy and the autonomy of municipal government, as they favor provincial initiative, which of course favor global initiatives. I ask for an explanation as to why the mayor has accepted these new powers and a clear response on when and why she intends to use them. The UN Sustainable Development Goals are misguided principles touting the need to save ourselves from climate change and essentially our own existence, considering that we are made of carbon and breathe out the very CO2 that these globalist initiatives are trying to eliminate. They are hurting Hamiltonians, and our own money would be allocated in this budget to do so. We demand public consultation on these issues and accountability and transparency from our councillors and our strong mayor. Canada currently has 3 registered C40 cities: Toronto, Montreal, and Vancouver. I do not know exactly where Hamilton sits in its progress within this global agenda, but I do know it is coming. This is information that needs to be made plainly available to the public. I demand public consultation on these matters as the end result of Agenda 2030 and C40 cities increase surveillance and limit mobility of its residents. They are called smart cities: S for surveillance, M for monitoring, A for analyzing, R for reporting, and T for technology. These cities in their end stages, such as in Oxford, UK, would limit the mobility of its residents and impose fines for residents that choose to leave their given boundaries past the allowable number of visits. This would increase surveillance for individuals far beyond what is appropriate in any democratic society. This is the same initiative that has reached our shores in Canada. Every councillor in this room has the choice to allow our freedoms and autonomy to be chipped away piece by piece until our beloved city resembles democracy no more. Or maybe you don't. Maybe your votes will be vetoed if they interfere with provincial initiatives. No one is obligated to obey de facto possession of sovereign governing powers nor participate in fraud. You are not authorized to move forward with any city motion on these subjects until all of you have met with your constituents to their satisfaction. Please note that a failure to answer is an answer. If you refuse to meet with them, it will indicate that you have abdicated your elected duty to act as their public trustee. In closing, I do believe that most of you are here to serve the best interests of your city. I am here to remind you that you owe those constituents transparency and consultation before allocating even $1 of our taxes to global interests. And it is your duty to research all global interests that you are signing on to. Thank you for having me here today. Have a nice evening.
Thank you for your delegation. I believe we do have
Any questions?
Councillor Clark?
Thank you, Chair. Danko, I do want to thank Nikita for attending today and presenting. The question I have, is with regards to these C40 cities, I think was how could you just elaborate on that?
Sure.
What is that?
That is a UN, it's a UN initiative. There are 100 cities across the planet that have signed on. And as I stated in my delegation, there are 3 cities in Canada that are already signed on to be a C40 city, Toronto, Montreal, and Vancouver. And these cities are technologically driven. Another name for them is 15-minute cities, and the idea is that you only have to travel 15 minutes to get anywhere you need. And the idea is to protect our planet from climate change. But some of these cities that are further along in their development, such as Oxford in the UK, they are already limiting the mobility of residents, and you're allowed so many visits outside of the section. I don't know what the name is, but I would so just love it if a result of our delegations today is that every councillor here would just look into it, be a little more aware, and ask questions as you have. And I really appreciate that, Brad.
Thank you for that, Chair. My office is arranging a meeting with Nikita so that I can have a little bit better understanding as to what's going on. And Nikita, if you could share some of that reference material in advance of that meeting, that way
Absolutely.
I can be prepared.
I will. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Chair. Those are all my questions.
Thank you. Just a reminder, we're not here to debate. I know, or I think where you're going to go, but Councillor Nan?
Thank you, Chair Danko. I just have a clarifying question in response to the previous speaker. Did you say the C40s cities are a UN initiative?
Yes.
Okay. All right, that's all I need to hear.
Thank you.
Thank you. No further speakers. Thank you for your delegation.
Thank you.
Our next delegation is